This next song helped me through a very difficult time in my life. Talking about the greatest feeling in the world. Be killed. Because it's a sin to tell a lie. Ain't that a kick in the head? Now come on, you don't have to be shy. A bunch of squares, dead. Dang it, I could have used one of those. But I wouldn't get your hopes up. By beating its commander to death in full view of the devil in disguise. No suspects have been identified. God sent us 2 angels. The rockets were piloted by a courier. Love. Do not belittle a super mutant for taking the bunny slope. It's me again, Mr. New Vegas, reminding you that you're nobody till somebody loves you, and that somebody is dead.
As many of you know, Mr. New Vegas is the radio host in New Vegas at the time of 2281. He reports on occurrences throughout the region in the build-up to the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. His updates on events help build the world and reinforce the ongoing narrative, but there might be more to this man than meets the eye. First of all, is he a man or human being for that matter? You can search up and down the world space, check every room in every building, and you will never find him. We can find Three Dog in Fallout 3, along with Travis Miles in Fallout 4, but Mr. New Vegas is nowhere to be found in New Vegas. And if you continue to look for a person in the base game or throughout the DLC locations, all your efforts will be in vain. That's because Mr. New Vegas isn't human at all. The theory is that he is an artificial intelligence designed by Mr. House. Oddly enough, I can't find a single instance of him being expressly identified as AI. Matt Grand's staff makes mention of one of the few instances of Mr. New Vegas' background being described where he refers to him as just a voice on the radio, he has no body, and that he was created by Mr. House. He goes on to describe that the developers created the role specifically for the voice actor of Mr. New Vegas, Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton was an incredibly successful performer in real-life Las Vegas, but his fame went far beyond that. He is known as Mr. Las Vegas in real life. This seems to be one of those strange meta moments in Fallout where the character is in this weird limbo. He's based on a real life figure and acts as such, but he is not officially connected, with the relationship between the in-game and real life counterpart intentionally left unclear. I believe the theory about him being AI is likely attached to the fact that he makes time-relevant comments on the radio about things that recently occurred. If he was a pre-recorded voice of an old man, the news aspect to his function wouldn't work. We can still go further with his character. I just want to be clear that much of what we will discuss will be speculative due to his background not being clearly defined or expanded upon. We do know based on those comments that Mr. New Vegas was made by Mr. House, who we also know to have an augmented voice.
This meeting has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
If you crack open Mr. House's chamber and listen to him croak, you will quickly realize that the voice and image he has been putting on is largely a front. He is fulfilling an image you'd expect to see from the futuristic post-war leader of dystopian Las Vegas. If you're familiar with The Wizard of Oz, you can see the comparisons of Oz and House in this regard, because when you pull back the curtain, the mystique of these larger-than-life figures begins to waste away. Getting back to Mr. New Vegas, I will admit the artificial intelligence explanation is the most sensible one. We do know that Securitrons like Victor and Yes Man are artificial intelligence that gets distributed across every Securitron, so they have the ability to inhabit and switch to different Securitron bodies. We also know that House can move through the Securitron bodies. All of them are his eyes and ears of the Mojave, but we also see him presented in one similar to how we see Victor or Yes Man. Yet we never see Mr. New Vegas in a Securitron. We don't actually get any idea as to what he might look like or who he could be based on in-game or promotional art. It's possible that Mr. House constructed an AI based on the personality of a popular pre-war figure, but if he was as popular as the real-life Wayne Newton, House could use some pre-war promotional material and images to put a face to the voice of the Mojave. Regardless, we know the voice of the Mojave is directly under the control of Mr. House. If you listen to his dialogue, it seems that House wants to promote a cozy, nostalgic feeling to those who are coming to and live in New Vegas. Mr. New Vegas is endlessly positive and maintains a rough but calming voice. In this way, he's not too dissimilar from the voice of Vera Keys that lures people to the Sierra Madre. Mr. New Vegas doesn't let you in on who he is, but he talks as if he lives within the world. This is all smoke and mirrors to the reality that he is state-run media. That's one of the only relevant things that we can draw from the information we do have on Mr. New Vegas. The only radio personality in New Vegas happens to be owned, created, and operated by Mr. House. To go a step further, we know Mr. House has Victor trailing the courier throughout the events of the game. He's the one who digs up the courier in Goodsprings and continues to appear in various locations if you follow the game's suggested route to the gates of New Vegas. Mr. House can see directly through and listen to every word through Victor. Victor also knows where to go to continuously run into the courier. Simultaneously, Mr. New Vegas is reporting on events the player is involved in. Understanding this adds to the depth of Mr. House's involvement in the entire game and adds weight to Benny saying,
"The game was rigged from the start."
If you follow along the story beats and acquire the chip for House, he has been a successful puppeteer of the courier, all the while letting the player know he has been watching them every step of the way. Mr. New Vegas will rarely address the courier directly, but make plenty of comments on events involving their actions throughout the region. He has a positive leaning towards the NCR in regard to the military and fight against the Legion, but he has no problem sharing a bit of bad press by referring to them as squatters in Freeside fighting with the local Kings gang. This perfectly fits House's agenda, as he wants the NCR to continue to fight and do just well enough, but also poorly enough against the Legion. They're fighting off his invaders for him and expect to get a slice of his Vegas pie when they're done. House has no intention of allowing this, of course, as he will plan to take Hoover Dam and keep the Strip, while maintaining a decent relationship with the NCR so he can benefit from their citizens who offer tourism to his city. He has the ability to use Mr. New Vegas to sway public opinion in his favor or against the NCR when he sees necessary. The fact that the character is so mysterious, with very little concrete detail on, almost makes me wish we knew even less. Just looking up in the various buildings and towers throughout the game space, curious if Mr. New Vegas is up behind one of those windows in his studio getting ready to perform. Every time he appears in a radio intermission, he is acting on behalf of a man who is constantly thinking ahead and preparing his next moves. There's something dark and off-putting that he appears as this happy, kind old Vegas radio host, but is really just an artificial intelligence made by a 250-plus-year-old ruler of New Vegas. Mr. House has designed his own post-apocalyptic bubble where he can see, listen, and touch so much without actually moving a finger. He has effectively designed the Vegas experience in a world that has no larger government and a world where he has no checks and balances. Both the NCR and the Legion seek to take that away. Given we know so little, let me know if you have any other information on the character from lesser-known sources or interviews. If you didn't know the background of Mr. New Vegas, what did you assume about his character? I remember roaming around Freeside, looking up at one of these big looming buildings and think he must be up there, and that he was perhaps an old Protectron. Anyways, thanks for watching.
The fuck you looking at? You wearing a wire, are you? I'll break your fucking kneecaps. Hey, get back here.